Hello guys, I am Zani and welcome to part 2.5 of my 4-part, well 5 now, Game of Thrones We Forgot series. Make sure you watch part 1 and 2 first and hopefully you'll stick around till the conclusion of the series, aka subscribe guys, subscribe. So, why episode 2.5? Well, while I was working on part 3 Forgotten Plotlines, I also wanted to get back to a couple points I made in my part 2. Thanks to some of you guys' comments. Some of you were kind enough to comment on my last video, which I really love. Seeing other people's perspective on the matter is very interesting to me, even if it doesn't support my video or when people are correcting me. But I started to notice that it was gonna make the video way too long, because man, when you start looking for inconsistencies in Game of Thrones, it is hard to stop. This is also the reason why part 3 takes a lot longer to make. Once you go down that rabbit hole, things get chaotic and complex real fast. And I've been trying to figure out which parts I want to mention and how to organize it. So to make things a little bit more organized, I decided to separate it in 2 parts. Here are some more additional points regarding forgotten characters. There are 2 characters I really want to get back to, Ellaria and Edmure. In the previous episode I mentioned that these characters were forgotten in the last 2 seasons, and I wondered what they were up to. I found some interesting comments regarding them. Bam Bam's World commented, Cersei did say she beheaded Ellaria and she said that in episode 1 I think. The scene he is referring to is in season 7 episode 3 where Cersei indeed says this.
The war's already begun. I've drawn first blood. I decapitated the Dornish snake.
I can definitely see why people think that Cersei beheaded Ellaria, but Cersei says decapitate the snake's head. To me it sounds more like a metaphor. Decapitating the snake's head usually means that they remove the leader of an organization. It is known that snakes can still live on for a while after they are decapitated, but they will slowly die off later on. It sounds to me that Cersei states that she removed the leader of the Dornish army. It would also not add up with what Cersei says in that very same episode. Coming to our next comment from the gaming chip 850. Cersei said that she would keep Ellaria there until her daughter turned to dust, until she was old and grey.
Your daughter will die here in this cell. And you will be here watching when she does. You'll be here the rest of your days. If you refuse to eat, we'll force food down your throat. You will live to watch your daughter rot. To watch that beautiful face collapse to bone and dust.
So it is even more extreme than I initially thought. She said she would keep her alive till her daughters turned to bones and dust. Now I did some research and it's really not clear how long it takes for bones to turn to dust because it depends on several conditions. But the shortest amount of time I could find is like 20 years. It also fits Cersei's personality to not give her an easy death. Remember Unella, the one who openly shamed her?
I'm ready to meet the gods.
What? Now? Today? You're not going to die today. You're not going to die for quite a while.
Yeah. So in my opinion, Ellaria should still be alive up until season 8. Now a follow-up response on that comment actually had me thinking more about Ellaria. Tommy DS commented, yeah, but Daenerys arrived at King's Landing and never cared about her. What the fuck? This is true. Dany arrives at King's Landing to negotiate a truce, but never asks about Ellaria. They even agreed to ally up, so the more the merrier, right? Dany had no confirmation Ellaria was dead. What makes things even more silly, Euron mentions Yara is alive.
Leon! I have your sister. If you don't submit to me here now,
I'll kill her.
So why didn't Dany even mention Ellaria? See what I mean when I say once you go down that rabbit hole looking for inconsistencies in the show? And yes, you could say these are all minor things, I know. And yes, Ellaria may not be important for the endgame. But when minor things start to add up, it is clear to me that D&D were slowly becoming lazier and Alaria was just simply forgotten. Up on to Edmure. Because there seemed to be a lot of confusion about where he was. Rightfully so, because the show gives us different possibilities each time. Game Misu comments, as I remember, Edmure was taken by the Lannisters, so he probably was all the time at Casterly Rock, smiley face. Daisy Ray Yellowhorn commented, Edmure is released from captivity by Jaime Lannister in Season 6 at the second siege of Riverrun. Jaime makes a deal with Edmure to take Riverrun from the Blackfish in return for his son and wife's lives. Also, Colin Stewart commented, surprisingly you forgot something. Edmure was released under the pretense that he layered down all of the city's arms, Riverrun, and followed the Lannisters, and he is pretty weak-willed at this point, so he does as he told. At that point, the writers forgot about him. After reading these comments, I decided to do some more research, and I rewatched the scene between Jaime and Edmure again.
You have a child now, I've heard. A son you sired on your wedding night. You're a potent man.
A son I've never met. Born of a wife that I haven't seen since our first night together.
You should be with them both. I can arrange that, you realize. Comfortable rooms for you at Casterly Rock. A chooser for your boy. Knights to train him to fight and to ride. And when he comes of age, he'll have a keep of his own.
Imagine yourself a decent person.
So it was a pretty good observation. In Season 6, Episode 8, Jaime did offer Edmure a safe haven at Casterly Rock. For him, his wife and his son. Then I started thinking that wouldn't make any sense either. Because in Season 7, Episode 3, when Tyrion tells his master plan to capture Casterly Rock, we see that Grey Worm got trapped inside Casterly Rock. Later on, we see Grey Worm rejoining Dany's army, laying siege upon King's Landing in Season 7, Episode 7. So they didn't see Edmure at Casterly Rock? Was Edmure also taken away? Either way, Edmure was forgotten. However, I came across another comment from Federico Berardi. I think Edmure remained prisoner because there was still guards at the Twins anyway. I decided to rewatch that scene as well between Jaime and Walder Frey after they recaptured Riverrun.
Edmure's back in the cell. Can't go killing my son by law, wouldn't be right. Give the family a bad name.
So seemingly Edmure was still a prisoner at the Twins. This would mean he should have been free after Arya kills all the Freys. We should have had to hear or see something from him. Yet we only see him up until the final episode. Edmure was simply forgotten or cut out and got shoehorned into the ending. Quaife. Now, upon a comment about Quaife, who I mentioned briefly in my last video, Maximilian Hammerschmidt comments at 5 minutes 41 seconds. You forgot to point out something major about Quaife. If I remember correctly, she told Jorah already in Season 2 that he will sail through the ruins of Valyria and that he'll need help afterwards. She was clearly originally intended to cure Jorah's grayscale, not Samwell. Update. I rewatched the scene now, and though she doesn't exactly say that he will row through the ruins, it's still foreshadowed that she will be the one who cures him, as she is painting some protecting symbols on a man who will sail through the ruins of Valyria, because any man who is planning to do so needs protection. She explains this to Jorah in a very chilling way. There you go.
Jorah the Andal. This man must sail past Old Valyria. All who travel too close to the doom must have protection.
I have to agree, you can definitely see some foreshadowing, seeing that later on Jorah did travel back to Valyria and got grayscale because of it. Very nice catch. I hope very much that we will find out who Quaife really is in the books, because she is such an interesting character. Scrolling through the characters, many more forgotten characters are mentioned, and it was very interesting to read about. I am aware that I didn't mention all forgotten characters, but my video was about the characters that I personally thought I would see again. However, some characters I think still deserve a definite mention. A character I saw pop up a couple times is Ilyn Payne. Remember Arya's kill list? Well, I wouldn't blame you if you forgot, because the writers didn't really remind you later on. Ilyn Payne is on Arya's list because he is a loyal Lannister servant who executed Ned Stark. Sir Ilyn Payne's tongue was cut out by the Mad King when he served as his hand, because he claimed that it was actually Tywin Lannister who ruled over the Seven Kingdoms and not the Mad King himself. What happened with the character? We don't see him die in the series and he's never mentioned again, even though he is definitely on Arya's kill list. There also seemed to be some confusion about the actor playing him, Wilco Johnson. He was diagnosed for cancer and got the news that he had only a few months to live. So that would definitely explain why we don't see the actor anymore. But changing actors for a character isn't something new in Game of Thrones. The Mountain had bloody 3 different actors. Now you can say that out of respect for the actor they didn't replace him, and I can see that because cancer is a terrible thing. However, the actor survived the treatment and is cancer free now. So for those that thought he died, he isn't dead, thankfully. The fate about his character, however, will remain a mystery for now. Illyrio Mopatis. Illyrio was the host of Dany and her brother Viserys at the start of season 1. He arranged the marriage between Dany and Khal Drogo and is the one who gives Dany her eggs. Illyrian is seen conspiring with Varys in season 1. Plotting to see Viserys on the throne, and that's the reason he helped to wed Dany to Khal Drogo for his army.
We need time. Khal Drogo will not make his move until his son is born. You know what these savages are.
Delay, you say. Move fast, I reply. This is no longer a game for 2 players.
It never was.
Later in season 5 we see Tyrion and Varys at Illyrio's palace, meaning that Varys still has an alliance with Illyrio, but he isn't mentioned again ever. So what happened to him? In the books Illyrio plays a much larger role, but in the show this character joins the long list of forgotten characters. Salladhor Saan is another character I saw mentioned in the comments. Salladhor Saan was Davos' pirate friend who was recruited to help Stannis' army conquer King's Landing. He abandoned Stannis at the Battle of the Blackwater, but is later recruited again after they took a loan from the Iron Bank and were able to pay him. Now do we see him after this? Well, these comments pretty much sum it up. Subbai comments, do we ever see him again after this? Alex responds, nope. Subbai again, what happens to him? Alex, in the book he leaves Stannis and Davos right after the two went to North. In the show, he just disappears. Subbai again, that's what I was afraid of. Is he a key player for the endgame of the series? Probably not, but forgotten nonetheless. So yeah, there are many forgotten characters in Game of Thrones, and due to a lot of inconsistencies, a lot of confusion comes with it. Even though some of these things seem very minor to the overall plot, when you keep adding minor flaws together they form a huge problem for the show. I could go on and on about this topic, but in the end we have to do what has been given to us. And what has been given to us left a bad taste in the mouth for a lot of us. A comment I see appear a lot in the comment section of my Game of Thrones videos and the videos of others is, why do you still talk about Game of Thrones? The show is over, give it a rest. Other than the fact that I make videos for myself at number 1 because I am trying to figure out why I wasn't able to enjoy the final seasons of a series that I very much loved for many years, there are several reasons why I think talking about Game of Thrones is still very important. But I want to handle these for the final part of my series. For now, I hope you guys enjoyed this follow-up episode of Forgotten Characters. Feel free to add upon this topic or correct me in the comments. Part 3 will be released somewhere next week and I'll try to make part 4 the week after, before I go on my holiday. Know that I make videos in my spare time and sometimes my spare time is next to non-existent. Plus, I very much enjoy making other videos on different topics. So hopefully you guys are a bit patient with me. I would always welcome a like, a sub, a comment, and I will try to make it worth your while. Thank you guys for watching anyways. Signing out.